This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's Pod. This is show for the week of April 21st, 2025, and this is what's going on in our Disney World, and we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. Not only our own personal Disney World, but like a smattering of like movies and discounts and everything else. But first, we want to welcome Brian, just Brian, to the Discord server. He hopped on this week. Hopefully he joins the conversation and he's just, or at least he's pleasantly entertained with our babble and conversation.
Which there's been a bit of late.
Yes, there has, which is great. So please join the conversation if you feel comfortable, or at least hop in with a DBC engagement response.
Yep.
And I don't, honestly, at the top of the show, this is terrible of me. I don't think we have next week's DBC engagement planned out, so we will plan it live. We'll do it live. All right, Phil, you put in for the first part of this episode a lot of Star Wars news, which is kind of like, we talk about a lot about Star Wars here. I might get triggered. I might have some comments. This could be a 5-hour show or it could be a 20-minute show. We'll see. So
I'll try to move on. If I get, since you're going off the rails, I'll move on or whatever. But
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Star Wars Celebration was just wrapped up a few days ago. It was held in Chiba, Japan on April 18th through the 20th. And a lot of news came out. I'm not going to go through all of it, obviously, because there's a whole lot with books and comic books and merch and all that sort of stuff. So I try to keep it to stuff that we think is relevant, at least to us, or at least that I care about. I guess maybe I'll make it selfish. But so first couple of things that came out, there was some news about upcoming films, which are always exciting because we haven't had a Star Wars film in the theaters in quite some time. We do know that The Mandalorian and Grogu is still set to come out next May 22nd. They showed a little bit of new footage and stuff like that. Nothing major. I don't think anything brand new was going on. There was a bit with Sigourney Weaver and stuff like that with her character, but not a lot else.
Have you seen any of the leaks or supposed leaks that are online? Have you heard of them? We're not going to discuss them here, but have you seen them?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So, unless I just happen upon something, it's not something I seek out.
So essentially, I'm not going to tell what the leaks are, but they borrow heavily from a lot of the Clone Wars characters and coming back, which is par for the course for Filoni. I don't think that's spoiling anything. And what all the major Star Wars YouTube channels are saying, I don't know if they're clickbaiting right now or anything else like that. However, a lot of the complaints of the leaks, if they're true, is that it is a kind of just an adventure movie. Like nothing major happens. It doesn't advance the movie. It's just like their adventure of the week and like fun stuff happens, or they want fun things to happen. I don't know if fun things happen, but the main point is it's just a story of the week episode. It would be a quote unquote filler episode for like Mando season 1, which were some of the best episodes in my opinion. Anyway, so that being said, Phil, does Mando and Grogu, the movie, need to have some larger component to it, to the Star Wars universe, or would you be content with it just being like an adventure they go through that has zero ties to anything before and after, other than it's just the characters doing its thing?
I think I'd be fine with it just being a standalone, kind of just having fun, as long as it's good. I mean, that's all I care about. Yeah. So as long as it tells a good story and it's interesting and kind of, builds on, Grogu and Din's relationship and stuff like that, I'm fine with it.
Is my only worry of that? Like, I loved all the quote unquote filler episodes of like season 1 and 2. I think that's why season 1 and 2, or season 1 was the best, because you had time for the characters to breathe, to just kind of do things, right? It wasn't always high stakes pressure. And the only issue is that this is going to be the first Disney Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker 5 years ago.
Yep.
And it's going to have a lot of weight on its shoulders, and I'm afraid that it's just going to get negatively impact the brand if it's just like a Mando movie, like, and that's it. Like, that would be great if there were like other great projects going on. So I don't know. I'm concerned about it. I'm definitely gonna watch it and hopefully enjoy it. But I think that might turn a lot of like people off potentially. Or
Yeah, I
you know
don't
what? It might have the opposite effect where it's like you don't need to know all the other stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
It's just like you just go have
I've heard
a
some
good time.
speculation, or like I know on like Star Wars Explained and stuff, they were talking about that. In some ways, it might be good that this is sort of like easing people back into a Star Wars movie. That it's not something that carries a lot of weight on its shoulders. It's just there's Baby Yoda. Go enjoy it and have fun. And like that's what Star Wars is supposed to be. Like, don't worry about it. And it doesn't have to, make $2 billion and stuff like that. It's just supposed to be a fun
I'm
movie.
with you on that.
The only comment I remember seeing was I guess Filoni was like kind of giddy because he's like, we have a movie budget, so we got to like do some cool stuff. And I guess there was like a one shot scene with Din around like an AT-AT or something like that. But like that was kind of him like just having fun with stuff. I don't know.
I mean, in just to steal a bit from your theme park news in this section, I mean, it comes out is it the same day?
It's the exact same day, yeah.
Yeah, of the update to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which I think is great if they can kind of tie that in together, breathe some life into that land a little bit more, make it more relevant to what's popular. So what other films?
The other big one was that they talked about all these other movies that are still in process, and Taika Waititi's film is still going on and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But the one that they talked about and they brought out a lot more details than people were expecting was Sean Levy's film that's coming out. That before it was announced or strongly rumored that Ryan Gosling was going to be in it. It was confirmed. Ryan was there along with Sean, and they came out and they gave the title of the movie. It's going to be called Star Wars Starfighter. And it will come out May 28th, 2027. So just about a year after Mando and Grogu. It is a standalone film again. It's just one film. It's not part of a trilogy. And it is set 5 years after Episode 9. So going forward in the future, but not as far as the new Rey movie is supposed to be. Just 5 years after. And it's supposed to be in like a new location with new characters and that sort of thing. Doesn't mean characters might pop up with Easter eggs and stuff like that, but it's going to be sort of its standalone thing. It's again not another thing that's tied into the Skywalker saga or anything like that.
So here is my issue with this. It's probably going to be a fine film, right? They've got like credible actors. I think it might be on par with a more serious and adult version of Skeleton Crew, most likely, right? Yeah. It's an adventure. It's probably going to have dog fights in it and stuff like that. All the oohs and ahs.
Yeah, so someone was calling it like it's going to be like Top Gun in Star Wars or something like that.
I mean that'll be fun. I mean, like I'd enjoy that. It's all competent, good people in it, so you got that going for it. I don't really care what the setting is. We're gonna find out what happens post episode 9.
Yeah,
right. Did I get that number right?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 9. Sure. I love Star Wars. I love the ships flying around. As long as it's a good movie and it's competently written and it doesn't try to be too big for its britches. Like, make it a Top Gun movie with like, that doesn't like, if he fails, like the Empire wins and the galaxy falls apart, or like he's now this starfighter is now the prophesied person of the next, like just make a good movie, make it self-contained and, don't go nuts. And I think it'll be a success.
Yep. So we'll see, but I think I think that's just almost like a way of easing back into things. I think that's why I think why these standalone movies are maybe getting the go ahead, because they're almost like not willing to commit to another trilogy quite yet and stuff like that. So it's like, well, let's get these one-offs on and like show we can do a good Star Wars movie again, and then let's go from there.
Yep, I'm with you on that one.
So TV and animation, they talked a little bit about Andor season 2, but obviously that comes out by the time you're listening to this today. They showed everyone there the first episode, but all the critics they actually released the entire season to them. So I've already seen like some people have like reviews out of the embargo ended today. Obviously very positive feedback. They basically said if you loved Andor season 1, you'll love Andor season 2. The only critical thing I heard was like they wish there was more of it, because the original plan was for it to be 5 seasons, and they kind of like, well, now this makes me wish it was that 5 seasons. Yeah. But otherwise, it sounds like it's really good. So I'm very excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it. I think the only thing that I've seen from it is the quote unquote reviews. It's like, this is the best thing ever. This is the best Star Wars TV ever. I mean, there's not much good Star Wars TV, so the bar is pretty low on that. I mean, you could just say if it's better than Andor season 1, it's probably going to be a very stellar show, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for tomorrow. I'm just trying to get through the day without me being spoiled, so I can be at the end of the day and go into like my basement where I have a big screen TV and surround sound, and I can just kind of because it's like what the first 3 episodes are out, right?
Right, and from what they said, each episode's like 50 minutes long. So it's
Like-
like I mean, you're commit, and they did say you kind of want to watch them like they're glad all 3 are released
Straight through, right?
Yeah, so that's like almost 3 hours. You gotta kind
I
of
like. I know there's a lot of people that are going to wake up and watch it on their computers or their phones because they're so excited. I'm like, this needs to be an event for me. I need to just like settle in. I didn't rewatch Andor season 1. I haven't seen it since it first came out. I don't think I need to follow up on a lot of that stuff. I saw a bunch of people mentioning that they were doing like a rewatch, and I'm like,
yeah, we
have
have
done
2
that.
episodes left.
oh, you guys were doing it. Yeah,
I
that's
know,
right.
yeah. There are videos out there too. It's like what to, just like recap season 1 if you want to, like a 20-minute recap before you get into it.
No, I mean, I know what happened, but it's nice to kind of just like roll right into it type of thing. I don't know why I just put my hand in front of the camera like that, but I'm sorry.
They also said there's a brand new full animation series coming out that's Maul Shadow Lord. Dave Filoni's behind it. Sam Wentworth is returning, so it's kind of a continuation of like the Clone Wars and all those Bad Batch and stuff like that. So if you like those shows, you're going to like this one, but it's nice to see a whole new series starting up, not just like a one-off thing.
Mm-hmm.
They had some people from Ahsoka there. Filming begins this week on season 2.
This one scares me.
Yeah, we'll see. They talked, it sounds like it's Dave Filoni just doubling down on all the Rebel stuff. Cause it's like, there's more Ezra, there's more of this. It's like, it sounds like it's even more Rebels season 5 or 6 or whatever we're up to now. So
it's just gonna be bad. I mean, the first season was like, not to do a Ahsoka season 1 review again, but like there were segments of that show that were absolutely fantastic Star Wars, right? But it was wrapped around like it was like 5 to 10% really cool things, and then 90% of like bad writing, bad pacing, letting characters just kind of sit around and do nothing for a while. It's just like, I just hope that they can steer the ship in the right direction at this point and make it like a fun action packed like show like the whole time.
Yeah.
And
They did say, it sounds like they said the first season was a little bit more set up and this is more of the story coming out. So hopefully that's the case. But we'll
I
see.
mean, I've heard rumors of what's going to be in this, and it's just going to be like, you better have watched like certain Clone Wars things and all this other stuff that it's. My fear is that Dave Filoni is going to go like 3 wolves on his t-shirt crazy into all like the mysticism that he invented during Clone Wars and stuff like that. And it's just going to confuse the heck out of everybody that's happens to be watching it. That's not like immersed in like 2 decades of Star Wars cartoons.
Yeah. Which is fine if it's kind of this side project or whatever like that. But when you get, the budget that it has and you get Rosario Dawson and stuff like that, I think it feels like it needs to be more approachable than kind of a little side project for the diehards.
See, I don't really watch any of the Star Wars cartoons. I've watched all the Clone Wars. I've watched most of Rebels. I never watched Bad Batch or anything else like that for no lack of like whatever. Just
it's a lot of
really
content.
did it.
It's hard to like, get everything in.
And this would have been perfect for like a cartoon, like Ahsoka season 1 and 2, and it should have stayed that way. I think.
And speaking of more cartoons, Star Wars Visions, the 3rd season is going to be coming out, all from different studios across Japan. And then they're also going to do a longer form version of one of the stories about the 9th Jedi, which was one of the most well-received ones from the first season of Star Wars Vision. So just another thing out there, again, for probably more for the diehards and stuff. But it's cool that there's all these opportunities for people to kind of put their own sort of spin or take on the Star Wars universe.
I mean, this is how I view like all the Star Wars comics that have come out over the decades. And I'm like, I never got into them. I think they're probably really cool if I was, like, had time to read and I ingest all of them. But like, I don't have time for this because there's plenty of other stuff. But I'm excited that they're there for people that absolutely love them. Because I heard good things about Visions for the people that like anime and stuff.
Yeah, I saw the first season was really good. I didn't get through everything in the 2nd season, but yeah, it's cool just to see these different takes and stuff like that. But but yeah, it is kind of similar to like, okay, there's a different take in this comic or this book or something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And probably the most relevant thing to our audience I'm getting to now, the theme parks.
13 minutes in.
Yeah, I know. They gave more details around the changes coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. As Jason mentioned, this is going to go into effect the same day that the Mandalorian and Grogu film comes out, May 22nd, 2026. So just over 13 months from now or so. In this set, they did reveal that Hondo will be sending you on your mission. So we know that Hondo Tanaka animatronic, I'm assuming, will stay there and that sort of thing. But he's going to be sending you on a mission to Tatooine to intercept a meeting that he's heard that is taking place between ex-Imperials and pirates. You'll then be chasing the pirates to another location, one of 3, either Bespin, which is Cloud City, the wreckage of the 2nd Death Star over Endor, or Coruscant. and the crew, that's the riders, the guests, will pick which one they go to. So you won't go to all three. It'll be varied based on that. So obviously adds more rewritability and just kind of makes it more exciting and that sort of thing. I did see one person tweet out that it's going to be the engineers who get to choose. I don't know if that means it's just up to them or they're the ones that actually have to pick the button or whatever. I think it's really cool. There's already been a lot of people speculating, like, is this going to create like fights in the cockpit about where you go and stuff like that? But we'll find about that. They also released that the engineer role will be able to communicate with Grogu during the mission. They showed like a little image of like a screen that has Grogu on it, and somehow you're interacting with him, and what you do triggers reactions and stuff from him, and it as the story unfolds. So they definitely recognize that for the most part. It's different for our family. We have people who love the engineering role, which they're probably a little sad because now they might not get the engineering role because I think it's going to be much more in demand. But they recognize that wasn't as popular, so they needed to do something about that. And it's cool that they're taking advantage of it being a digital application that's being generated on the fly, that you can go to multiple locations.
So a lot of people know that this is one of my favorite rides, if not my most favorite ride, just because of the moment where you can jump to light speed and pull that lever down. If that is missing from this will go from my favorite ride to like, I don't really need to ride this again.
I'm assuming you're going to different locations. You'll have to go to light speed to go there. So yeah.
But like, I love the sense of urgency. Like, kick it to light speed, boom, and you pull it down, and you go. That has to stay. I mean, that has to be a massive crowd pleaser to everybody that's done it, right? So that's my first reaction to this. Second one is I love that they're making other things more interactive. Like the engineer was just a person that sat in the back seat that pressed glowing buttons. That's all they did, right? That was pretty lame. That should never have gotten to production. But maybe they were like, okay, there's some people that really don't want to be involved. They can just kind of do
it's
this.
The more passive role, and
then just enjoy the experience,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get that. I love that there's like 3 different locations, and it's not some wonky sequel movie type of like thing or something that they invented that they're trying to be unique about. It's you're going to Bespin. Oh, I know Bespin. You're going to Tatooine. Oh, I recognize that. And hopefully you see the twin suns and you get all that other kind of fun stuff as you're flying in and out. And you've got the Death Star, which is like, that's what we want, right? We want it. We want like, give us another simulator with an X-Wing and let me do a trench run. Like that is like the ultimate like thing that everybody would go. If like they built this ride, but made it an X-Wing and not the Falcon, and you just ran the trench run for like over and over again, this would have like a 3-hour wait, like all the time. People would want to ride it and then blow up the Death Star and then have Han come swooping in, save the day and whatever. Like that would be a most amazing experience. And I'm surprised they never did that. That being said, I'm sad that it's a year away, but I'm glad that they're investing into this attraction and making it better and not just let it sit there. They're doing that slowly with all the Galaxy's Edges, right? They're slowly converting them to Star Wars land, not like heavy into the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, not set an explicit time period. Yeah. So
just give me Jedi training back, please, before my youngest gets too old for it.
They did announce that next Star Wars Celebration will be held April 1st through the 4th, 2027. They do them every 2 years. And it's back in Los Angeles, so you don't have to go abroad to see it. Is this anything you would ever have interest in attending one of these?
I mean, I would love to. I've been adjacent to. Didn't they do a Star Wars Celebration in Chicago like 5 or 6 years ago? I want to say, or
they might have. I know the last one before this was in London, but it might have been Chicago before that. Yeah.
And I was there. I was leaving Chicago from a trade show just as that one was starting, and I really wanted to stay. Would I have an interest in going? Sure. I don't know if I'll be able to leave for a handful of days or even afford it because it's probably going to be super expensive to attend.
Sure.
From across the country, but I always think about it. I definitely always think about it. I love Star Wars, so maybe Star Wars will be in a stronger place in 2 years.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it always seems like people have a blast at it. So
yeah.
Yep. So that was a recap of the Star Wars news. And did you want to cover the 2026 news that came out about? Because now they announced that you'll be able to book your 2026 packages at Walt Disney World starting on April 22nd, and they have some returning and new perks.
Yeah, so I think I'm always interested in the discount packages because it shows you insight to the Disney company. It shows you what audiences they're targeting and where you'll see micro adjustments along the line. If you listen to Len Tess's Disney Dish from last week, he was mentioning about talking about like the discounts that were announced that we talked about last week for like the $99 hotels, the $89 tickets, and all this other stuff, and where they're trying to get their money from. So I just finished my own manifesto in response to Lens. Just recently, we had Ryan W. from Discord. Shout out to him. He's done an excellent job putting all that data to a visual media, much better than I could with like weird Excel spreadsheets that kind of just break after a while. So I'm not good at that. He is very good at that. And you can see over time that they learned at about probably a little bit less than it is now, how much money they could squeeze out of the people that typically go to values and everything else, how much money they could squeeze out of moderates. They kind of figured that out with the Lightning Lane, multi-pass and single passes, but they're now just figuring out how to squeeze more money out of the upper percentile of people with like Lightning Lane Premier passes and God knows what else they come out with later on, right? So Disney's probably finding out that they essentially squeeze too much, and they're squeezing too many people out of a reasonable price Disney World vacation. So a lot of the discounts that were just announced for next year, which is really interesting, is the early theme park entry to every park every day is going to remain the same, which is great. Extended evening hours for deluxe resort guests are staying the same, which is great. The free water park entry on check-in day is staying, but only for the summer months, whatever those might be. We don't know yet, but I think this is fantastic, right? I kind of joked with Matt that this went from an offering to a perk, essentially. To me, a perk. Then when we start talking about perks, it's like the stuff you get every time you go to Disney World, right? It becomes the thing that you do and you can rely on. It's like Fast Pass. It's like Magical Express, those type of things. Do you think, and I'm saving the other one for last, do you think that it going to a certain band of weather during the year is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it expected? What were your initial thoughts?
It definitely makes sense. I can see it. I just don't think it had so much value in the winter, and we were seeing all those times where like, well, the water parks are closed because it's too cold, and then they had to give you extra days to use the park and stuff like that. And I think it's, it kind of stinks that for people that maybe are I guess we'll have to see what months are actually included, but there are some hot times if you go like, spring break, like now, if you were there for Easter week, that's not summer, but there's certainly warm enough to go to a water park. So hopefully it's like not just like 3 months, it's at least, say 6 months of the year. But I think that's when it has the most value. The other thing is, I think, this year they announced that both water parks are going to be open. So it makes me think they're going to do that again, because this is when they're going to have the perk. They're like, okay, we'll get some extra people to the water parks during the summer when it has the most value, and we'll keep them both open. So, I mean, it feels like a little lessening of the perk because it is limited now, but it's during when it's the most effective, so it's probably not a big thing. But
and it was already limited, right? It was your arrival day, and if you're not like my instance where I'm driving down like a 15 to 20 hour drive down, staying at a hotel the day before my check-in day, so our actual check-in day is our second day in Orlando, and we're like ready to go, right? Like we're basically taking all we can get. We're going to be water park hopping and all this other type of stuff, right? So the other discount is Walt Disney World announces a free kids dining plan, ages 3 to 9, when you purchase a 2026 package with a dining plan for your family. Also, kids free dining plan can be combined with other special offers. The 2026 package is open tomorrow and travel through October. So when you combine the water park and you combine this dining thing, it's, to me, they are now targeting people that, if they didn't have to pay for their kids' food, makes the trip more affordable. If we give you some more free things, maybe you'll book with the water parks. And also, I have to think that, hey, if we give water parks away from free, do we actually make more money because people are spending more money on merch? Maybe they're buying more food and beverages, and they're having a good time, all this other stuff, where that might start leaking into certain other ticket deals, right? Mm-hmm. If they're showing that families are staying for 5 days, but they're only getting 3 or 4 park tickets, why not make the 5th day free, or make the 5th day more like it was in 2017, 2018, right? So that's where I'm kind of seeing the trend line going with this. Now, Phil, we talk about this forever. We're going to talk about the dining plan a little bit later because that's part of our trip planning that we're going to be talking about. The Kids Eat Free does absolutely nothing for me in the grand scheme of things, because 2 of my 3 children are now over the age of 10. And that's rather disappointing. What were your first takes when you heard about the dining plan? Is like, because the way Scott Gustin tweeted it out, and I usually trust his emphasis on things. What was your first inclination that this was his first tweet about free dining for kids in 2026?
Yeah, my first thought was, it's interesting that it's just part of the packages for next year. It's not like, oh, for these dates or something like that. It's just, this is like a regular feature now, that if you book a package through Disney and you have the dining plan, your kids, it's covered. It reminds me of other theme parks that do that, kids stay and eat free and stuff like that. Yeah, one of my reactions was like, well, that's great if you have kids. Now all 3 of my kids are Disney adults, so it again does nothing for me. It did also make me think, same thing with like the kids ticket 50% off now, that Disney seems to be rejiggering some of their marketing towards, or even emphasizing further, families with younger kids. I don't know if this is directly to counter Epic Universe and stuff. Hey, older kids are going over there. If you got younger kids, we got a great deal for you here.
Well, let me just jump in also. When you talk about like Kids Eat for Free, I'm remembering my trips in pre-pandemic when all my kids were under the age of 10. If we could go down and buy the dining plan for, back then it was what, $70 something per night for adults, and all my kids eat for free, that's a lot of people going to character dining, Phil.
Yeah,
that is filling up those places, because that's, I think, what child Disney dining plan, not the quick service plan, but the Disney dining plan for kids is like 40 something bucks, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's 90 something for adults and it's 40 something for kids. Because the quick service is like only like $29 or something else like that. A $40 ticket to character dining, and you get your lunch or your other meal quick service, and you get a snack, and you get the mug. That's a phenomenal deal if you are a young family, and I applaud Disney for doing it. And they're not tying it here. And I know completely interrupted your thought, which I apologize.
Yeah, I did look it up, and at least for now, it might go up, I guess, a couple dollars for next year or something like that. But the per cost for Disney for adults is $94.28, and for kids is $29.69, so about $30 a day.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the other thing I was going to say was, this is further evidence that they're still struggling to fill restaurants on Disney property, and they don't anticipate that changing by next year. It did lead to some discussion on the Discord. It was like, oh, well, if now all of a sudden more people are getting it because the kids have it free, is it going to make it go back to when it was hard to find, ADRs and stuff like that? And
I don't think so.
I don't think really. I mean, I guess I could see maybe now people with kids taking advantage of it, so maybe some of the character meals get a little harder to get and stuff like that. But I still think the vast majority will be fine to get. The last thing I thought I had was that if you are a family with young kids and you maybe have been putting it off because of the price and that sort of thing, I mean, if there's some room only discount, you can get an All Stars for $99 a night. You can do like whatever ticket thing, whether it's whatever deal might be going on. But even if you pay full price for tickets, and on the Disney dining plan, and you have 2 or 3 kids under 10 and they can eat for free, like it can make it a pretty affordable. Or at least
here's what I think is extremely interesting out of all this. Yeah, kids eating free. People have done that before. It's kind of surprising that Disney's doing it for like the whole year, but not just like a promotion sequence, but can be combined with other special offers, Phil.
Yeah.
What was the last time Disney had like a Disney package that were like, you just got free dining or you just got the rack rate discount, right? There was no other discounts. You couldn't apply other ticket discounts because tickets had to be part of the package. And what this tells me now, I haven't read the full Disney blogs thing. I've read other parts. Do you have to have Hopper tickets for this to work?
No, it didn't say. You don't even have to have tickets. I don't think it's just. I guess you have to have tickets to make it a package, right? But
right, a package is hotel and tickets, right? Yeah. So that just tells me that there is potential that down the road you will be able to combine other discounted deals, like temporarily, right? This is like you can combine this with any discount next year, right? If things are still soft, they can say, hey, you can get your free dining and a rack rate discount, kind of combine the two, right? Like well,
I'm assuming that's definitely what this is, that when you go to book a package, it says, hey, there's this
Oh yes, but I'm
Disney-
talking for
yeah.
people that don't have like kids under 10 too.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Right,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
don't take advantage of like kids.
This
free-
specific one. Okay, yeah, I got you.
So like next year, your kids are not going to be able to have free dining if you go, but you take. So then that means you either take care of you do the dining plan, which you typically don't, and then so yours is just a rack rate. But if you can combine the rack rate with the Disney dining plan, you're like you just start thinking to
Oh,
yourself,
you mean the room only discount? Yeah.
room only discount,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So like, I'm not saying that they are going to combine it, but now that they've done it once, now I expect them to do it a second time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very curious about that. I did not have that on my bingo board of like combined discounts type of thing.
Yeah, and that seemed to be. I mean, I know it was emphasized in Scott's tweets, but I think even on the Disney Parks things, they were like pretty upfront about that. This is combinable with, it wasn't like
That
buried in
language
the-
has never been there before.
Yeah, and it wasn't like buried in the fine print or anything like that. So
No, I thought that's extremely interesting what they're going to do. And then just to wrap this up about discounts, I was listening to Len's podcast from finishing it up from last week, and which he did a really cool tour of Epic Universe in his show. Everybody should listen to it if you haven't already. That being said, he said because of the drop in tourism from overseas, international guests are way down. That the discounts that just came out about the hotels and additional free dining and all this other stuff, that might not be the last discounts for this summer. So I'm really curious to see if he might be right in his guess that the summer being soft, that they might just start trying to shove as many people in those parks as possible, any way possible. So I'm really interested in that.
Yep.
So, we're going to do a little swerve into a construction update because there is actually a handful of things to talk about this week, which I thought was pretty cool. Phil, we'll start at the Magic Kingdom. This raised a little bit of a kerfuffle for all the curmudgeons out there, as Matt likes to call them. Big Thunder Mountain permit got extended for 1 month. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's being delayed." I'm like, first of all, it's just 1 month. Second of all, it's just a permit, right? Like, I think they're still, if they're going to be done early, this is done early. I think this is just paperwork and
I think
filing.
it was for a new thing with like a new supplier or something, and the standard for permits is a year. So it just started now, and it's for a year. So like it might not even mean anything.
So people are paying way too close attention to this that are like outside of not knowing how permitting works. So just everybody chill. In the Haunted Mansion, some walls are going around the hearse over there. Maybe they're doing some sidewalk repair.
Yeah, that's what I think
maybe
it
they're
is.
just
It's
doing
the
whatever.
walkway around there. Yep.
So in the Cars Land Villains Land, the permit was filed for offices nearby. So the project management, like trailers, basically. We saw this at Tropical Americas, where about maybe 2 months or 3 months before they got the permit to start demo, you just saw these areas that we're going to put all the trailers. So they're going to set up that. That's because they have to set up restrooms and power and all this other stuff. So that has to be permitted. The Astro Orbiter got a new paint scheme. So I don't know if anybody's going to remember this, but the whole elevator tower that goes up was red. Now the top has nice shiny silvery gray paint to it, which is kind of cool. Give it a little bit of a new look. And also the Big Thunder Mountain. I don't know why I didn't pair these in my list, but there's now a new building going up backstage, which people are just speculating that it's the new barn for maintenance on the ride vehicles.
I think that's
which
what
makes
it
sense.
is, but it did kind of surprised me a little bit. Just like all of a sudden there was this fairly substantial structure there. But yeah, if it's just probably just maintenance or for the cars.
So of course people came out of the woodwork and started yelling about sight lines and theme. I'm like, they could probably plant 2 trees and it'll be fine.
Or they could actually theme the building. It's just the frame right now.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what's going on with that. So everybody can chill with that one. There's no real updates for Animal Kingdom. People have posted pictures with just more construction going on. I don't think that was really newsworthy or mentioning for the list. But yes, they are still working on it. They're just still being moved. Test tracks, some scaffolding came down on the canopy. So that's getting primed and ready to go. Now there is some stuff that's kind of covered on the front of the awning. And I don't know if that's just the finish is not installed yet, or there's a marquee that's going on there and they're just waiting for the very end.
Yeah.
So, or a lighting package or something.
Something like that, yeah.
But something looks incomplete over there. Nothing for Hollywood Studios. And then in the hotels, so construction walls are going up in the lobby. for the new construction of what we talked about last week. And the Lakeshore Lodge on WWNT had some pictures of it. Looks like there's about 5 floors already going up already. So that's moving along pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see some form factors with that probably in the next 6 months, where they might start putting some roofs and some siding, and then everybody can have a year's worth of like, this looks ugly, this looks like a Marriott, and all that other stuff. So what is old is new again. That being said, that's your construction update for this week. Some stuff we're moving around. It's after the holiday weekend, so we'll see if there's any more fast-paced movement in Cars Land. So I'm really, really eager to see that starting up on that side over there. Okay, so now on to the main event, Phil. We've got maybe like 3 trips to talk about, kind of. So you've got your Destination D23 stuff for your trip in August with your wife. You've got a really cool schedule here. I'm super jealous of what you ended up doing. I'll let you go through that. We've got our trip down with Matt, you and I, in, what is that, like
2 weeks?
2 weeks? 2 weeks from tomorrow, or is it?
Yep.
Is it 2 weeks from tomorrow? Goodness. So we got that going on. And then I finally completed my Disney dining plan math. And you know me, I love a good dining plan discussion. But let's go through your trip, because this is actually, it's not sooner. My trip's actually sooner, but yours is
the end of August. But
but you've got more planned and it's much more interesting. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
Yeah, so we recorded early last week, so it hadn't happened yet, but the tickets for Destination D23 happening down in Orlando this August went on sale last Monday, the 14th. And I was, this is something I've been waiting for, because we need to get tickets for that. That was the last part. And of course, it was scheduled to go live right when I was going to be on a plane traveling out to California for work and stuff like that. So put a little bit of pressure on my wife to have everything set up and going. I did have internet on the plane, but it wasn't obviously the best. So fortunately, she got through on the laptop the earliest and was able to get some tickets. She got in, I think it was 11 minutes after it went in, and they were basically sold out after about 17 minutes. Some stuff came back a little bit if you kept refreshing and stuff like that, but they went fast. We didn't know how quick it was going to go, because they did double the size this year. But interest is high. There are a lot of, I'm in some Facebook groups and stuff like that for it, and there's a lot of people wanted to go and did not get tickets. So it's always a little frustrating when you just can't, they double the size and there's still not the room for all the demand for it. But so we were happy to get the tickets. So we just got the general seating. They did have 2 higher levels, but we figured we're fine with the lowest level one. Just to go through our schedule. So our plan is we fly down on Tuesday, August 26th. We're scheduled to land around 12:30. And we will be starting our trip over at Universal. So we'll take rideshare over to the Helios Grand Hotel, where we're staying for 2 nights. That first day is just going to be exploring in the hotel, probably spending some time at the pool and stuff like that. I want to do dinner that night up at the Helios Bar, the one that's at the top of the hotel, and try to time it to watch like sunset or the fountain shows or something like that. Also want to get some drinks to go and that sort of thing, and watch some of the evening entertainment from our room, because we will be having a theme park view room. That's
so going to be awesome. You need to just like go on Discord, plug in like a spare phone, and just live stream the thing, and just go do whatever you want. But it's going to be the view for your room, and just let Discord run. I think that'd be kind of neat.
Side note: I don't know if you'd seen that there, because they've been doing the preview days at Epic for now, and BioReconstruct went to one of them, and he stayed at Helios in one of the theme park rooms. He literally showed a picture of his room, which had, I think, 4 or 5 cameras just set up looking out the windows and stuff like that. It's really funny. So Wednesday, August 27th is our Epic Universe Day, where we have tickets and Express Pass already bought. We'll have early entry. I still need to kind of figure out how all that's going to work when you're coming from Helios, and kind of what our plan's going to be on what we do first and what order, because only Super Nintendo Land and the center area are open, Constellation Park. But Nintendo Land's more towards the front. So do we want to try to get there or not? I don't know. We got time to figure it out. I'm sure there'll be tons of plans, and I'll probably be relying on Len for his ideas. And
don't
like that.
Freak out, Phil. Stop. Relax. You're already, like, I can see your eyes. You're twitching. You don't know. You're lost. Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we're just gonna enjoy what we do. Can do as much as we can. My biggest concern is if rides go down, but there's obviously nothing I can do about that. So it is what it is. It is going to be August, so I'm assuming we'll probably try to take a midday break. But the nice thing is the hotel's right there.
I was just gonna say, like, it's the best midday break ever. Just like walk to like the castle, and like there's your And there's your their hotel. That's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
and we hope to. I want to stay as late as we can in the park, and especially enjoy Dark Universe and stuff like that. Thursday we check out. We might do breakfast at the other restaurant in Gran Helios, Florida Taverna. They have like a breakfast buffet that was kind of reasonably priced, so maybe we'll do that. Then we'll transfer just rideshare over to Coronado, where we're staying for our Disney portion of it. I'm planning on utilizing the water park perk that we get. Probably go to Blizzard Beach for that. We're not sure what we're going to do that evening. There is kind of the Goofy movie event that's going to go on, but I did get tickets to go do that in New York in a couple, where it's actually New Jersey, but in a couple weeks. So we might do that, or there is an Epcot after hours that night, so maybe we'll do that. Still haven't figured out that first night. Friday, that's when check-in happens for Destination D23. It's also when all the shopping and stuff like that is. So that's kind of the main focus for that. They've teased something spooky in the evening, so I don't know if it's going to relate to a Halloween party or what, but
Oh boy,
probably whatever that is what it'll be. Saturday's day one of Destination D23. We'll be there all day for all those events and probably just eating around Coronado. They have the H2O special event with Emperor's New Groove themed over at Typhoon Lagoon. So that's probably why we're going to do Blizzard Beach for our water park, because we'll get in both water parks that way.
Does that are you paying extra for that, or is that
no?
included?
That's included with the
Wow,
that
that's
one's
cool.
included. Yeah, I think the thing Friday night might be extra, and then like the Goofy movie on Thursday that would be extra.
Mhm.
But the water park is included with your ticket to the event. Sunday is day 2, Destination D23. Will be all day for that. 80s 90s party in the evening. We already ordered our outfits for that, so we're excited for
That's
that.
absolutely amazing that you're doing. I'm so jealous of you going all out with your things. I try to get my wife to wear just matching T-shirts for our adult trip back in November. She's like, "Nah, let's just not do that." But she did dress up in her own themes, but she just didn't want to do it with me. Like she had a whole Haunted Mansion thing going on her Magic Kingdom day. But yeah.
And then Monday, September 1st, we check out and fly home. We have a relatively early flight, 9:10. My wife wanted to get home kind of reasonably early because our kids start school the next day. So
All
so she
right.
didn't want to get home at like midnight and that sort of thing. So won't get to do much that last day, but at least we'll be there all day Sunday and that sort of thing. So,
So Phil,
that's our trip.
Here's what I'm pointing this way because this is where it is almost great, but I got to point it to you because it's towards the camera here. You have the ultimate vacation in a vacation set up here, right? Like
Yep.
take out maybe D23 and put in like a park day, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a park day, you go there, you're gonna like chill at the hotel, go to Epic Universe the next day. You're gonna go to a water park and kind of relax. I don't know if you're like me, but when it comes to water parks, I like to have like a little bit of fun, but I also like just to sit out and just have some adult beverages and
There's
relax.
definitely going to be some relaxing and adult
Yes.
beverages and lazy rivering.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm stoked about that. And you do all that. Maybe you have some stuff in the evening, whatever it might be. And then you've got 2 D23 things. You've got like shopping and whatever. And like you have 2 hardcore day 1, day 2 of DD23. And then you got parties in the evening, and then you just go home. I mean, like you have a 7-day vacation with like 3 park day things, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is how you should do all of your vacations. And I don't think you need to plan. I think you've done all the planning by getting all your outfits and ready to go. I when you posted this on Discord, I was shocked that like you were able. There was enough for you to like plan out and organize for, which is I think that's a good job by Destination D23 keeping you guys like entertained.
I mean, it's just this. It was helpful that I kind of had this like plan in my head for a bit, and it's just nice that all the tickets between this and Epic are out now, and I could actually get everything and
Get it done.
It's set. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So I'm happy I'm looking forward to that trip report with all the fun pictures and stuff like that. I'm sure you'll be tweeting out all day long on the DVC Pod Twitter account. All right, so my update on my plan. So again, I'm going July 22nd. For 9 nights and 10 days. We have hopper tickets. We took advantage of the quick service dining plan. We're staying with Art of Animation. I don't think I need to remind anybody. We already did the math of like, does the dining plan, quick service dining plan option versus the rack rate option, which is better financially. It was the quick service dining plan because it scales for more people in the same room. So now the question became, do we upgrade from the quick service dining plan to the Disney dining plan? So for the last couple months, our family made a list of, it was about, I want to say like 20 restaurants we've never been to that we're interested in trying, and about a dozen or so restaurants that we've been to before that we would like to do again. And we watched, and I've been saying this over the weeks, we've been watching one or two here and there. Everybody gives a thumbs up, thumbs down, or kind of so you got a 1, a 0, or a 0.5 score. And we tallied them all. So because of my kids are off for spring break, my mother was down, we barreled through like the last dozen or so where we would watch a video long enough just to say yes or no, right? So we kind of speed ran through all that. And then we came down to 9 different restaurants that we want to do. And we did not consider cost or Disney dining points. We just like, okay, these are the ones that we want. These had the highest scores. These are the 9 that we're going to do because we're there for 9 nights. So that's the arbitrary number that I picked. And I have 3 runners up that I chose. So the 9 are in descending order of score or Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, Cinderella's Royal Table, Artist Point, Boma Breakfast, Ohana Breakfast, Yak and Yeti, Skipper's Canteen, Topolino's Dinner at 3.5 points for my family. Out of 6 is the highest score. And St. Angel Inn, which is like my daughter really loves Mexican food. That's where she wants to go. So those are the 9. Our runners up are Whispering Canyon, which we scored as 6. But we didn't want to go to the same hotel twice. And then Chefs de France, where my wife really was poo-pooing that idea, and I really want to go, even though it scored a 5.5 over everything else. And then Tusker House also were our 3 runners up. So we what we did then was everybody, my mother picked what she wanted to eat for all these restaurants, all 12 of them. My wife did the same thing. I did the same thing. And then what I did was I picked random stuff for my kids. My youngest is still on the kids' side, so hers was pretty easy. So basically what it turned out to be, for all the signature dining restaurants, which is Hoop-Dee-Doo, CRT, Artist Point, and Topolino's Dinner, they're all 2 credits on the dining plan. They're all roughly, believe it or not, right around $420, $425. It's $435, $415, and I missed one of them. $376 for Artist Point, which is the cheapest one, and $423 for Topolino's Dinner. Right? For all of your 1 credit restaurants, you're looking at right around $300, $298, $299, $325, and the cheapest is Boma Breakfast at $218 because it's super cheap. It's not a character meal, right? So total, if we wanted to do all that dining, the cost would be $3,092 before tip, right?
Yep.
So obviously we're not going to do that. To upgrade from our quick service dining plan to our Disney dining plan would be $1,792. So that's our baseline cost. All right. And that includes 5 adults and 1 child.
Okay.
Now, there is some kind of assumptions we have to make. My wife wants to do Cinderella's Royal Table because our youngest daughter never got to experience that. She did it once in 2019 and she was 1 year old. She's never been in there. She's never done that princess dining. We want to give her that experience before. Not that she was ever a really huge Disney princess gal like my oldest, but she should experience it while she's still young at least once. So that was the reasoning behind that. Even though for weeks and weeks and weeks, we're like, no, it's too expensive. We're not going to do it. We just said, well, Aurora's never done it before. And we're like, I guess we have to do that. We have to give them that memory at least once, right? So we'll bite the bullet on that one. Then my wife really loves Artist Point, right? So she really wanted the kids to see that because we did that back in November. So like, okay, we're going to do that too. I really wanted to do Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. And also I wanted to do Topolino's dinner service. We're ultimately ended up taking out Disney Hoop-Dee-Doo Review because no one else really wanted to do it other than me. So I have to figure out a way to get down there without my family to go see it. So we're going to put in Topolino's for that. So 3 signature dining experiences, and that's roughly $1,200. We said that even if we don't upgrade, we want to do that, right? Gotcha. So that's the baseline. So what that assumption is, if we want to do, if we pay the extra $600, right, $1,200 minus $1,900 or $1,800 is about $600. If we pay $600 more, we get essentially 3 meals for the price of 2. So again, it's $600, right? Some people might say that's just too much money. We're not going to do it. This is kind of like a huge vacation. It's like, we'll spend the $600 and we get 3 more table service sit downs. Now, I want to point out to everybody that might be listening, and we were talking about this in Discord, my family enjoys eating They like eating an entree and an appetizer. When we go out, we want to have like a meal. We enjoy sitting down. The amount of food that's on this is not too much for us because we're going to use it as an excuse to get out of the park, sit down. It's July, right? That sort of thing. So we did the math. Now, because on our arrival day, we're going to be doing like water parks all day, we're not going to be in the mood to go sit down somewhere, right? We're going to be out in the sun all day and the pool. I'm probably going to be drinking a couple beers here and there, use a quick service meal, but dinner's kind of going to be like, lunch might be like get a couple hot dogs or hamburgers or something else like that. Use quick service for the evening, whether it's at the second water park or whatever. So we're going to use that credit and go and pay for Cinderella's Royal Table at that point. And then we have 2 other signature meals that we still 2 nights from. And essentially what we're going to do, I say it's about $60-ish, $70, $80 for the family to eat something like that. So ultimately out of pocket, it's going to be $1,800 plus maybe right around $2,000 or so, give or take $50, depending on what we're eating. And we get to go to Artist Point, Cinderella's Royal Table, Topolino's dinner, and then most likely St. Angelo Inn, Skipper's Canteen, Yak and Yeti, Ohana Breakfast, Yak and Yeti, and probably St. Angelo's Inn, and we'll skip Skipper's Canteen is the kind of the throwaway. Now, we also could say we could spend out of pocket $218 and go to Bowmore Breakfast because that's the cheapest one if we really want to do that. But ultimately, everybody says upgrading is never worth the dollars. And often it's not, because if you wanted just to kind of upgrade and you didn't have that baseline, you're going to be spending $1,200 on those 3 experiences already, then you need to spend $1,800, and then you're already now $2,000 more for like, maybe you're the type of family, we go 1, maybe 2 special nights out at a restaurant, but we're okay with, we're going to have a car. We could go to Walmart and buy groceries and stuff like that, right? So ultimately, Phil, I know I can't ask you what you would do because you already like, you have these mental breaks when it comes to Disney Dining Plan. Self-admitted, by the way. I'm not like,
oh no. I know I have mental challenges.
We all do. All do, but in different ways.
Yeah.
You can't not get the most expensive thing on the menu, even if you don't want it, which I find hilarious and amazing. And so I appreciate you for that. But you also don't eat like this, right? You're not a sit down meal every day kind of person.
Or we are, but a lot of times also we'll just get appetizers or split things or something like
right.
Even when we eat at the restaurants, we don't.
You're sampling.
We don't always eat how it's set up and structured in the Disney Dining Plan.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that. Ultimately, what it's going to come to is going to cost us about another $2,000, and we get all the meals that we want to do with maybe. I guarantee that last night we're there, night number 9. You most likely night number 10 because we're driving down there a night before.
Oh,
that
right, yeah.
We don't really need a sit down meal on the last day that we're there. We just kind of want to decompress and get ready for the drive the next day. And then the first night we're going to be there. So we basically going to have to we're stealing a credit from the first night and the last night. We're putting them to 2 credit meals. And it kills me that every time we do a 2 credit meal, we're losing about $100. $200 every time we do a 2 credit meal. So that is bad math for everybody that's out there. So don't do that if you can, but it is what it is. So it ultimately, we get about, I would say about 20. We basically end up, if by upgrading, we save about anywhere between $400 and $600 ultimately on what we want to do, because it's what we want to do.
Well, that's the key thing, is that these are the meals that you want to eat at, and it makes probably easier to do all these because you're saving that $600 or whatever. That covers 2 extra meals that maybe you wouldn't want to do.
No, that covers all the tips basically.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's true.
But I was just thinking, like you said, your daughter really wants to do St. Angel, and if everybody else doesn't really want to, you're like, well, but it's covered, so it's not a big deal if this isn't something I really want to do. It makes her happy, and it's sort of quote unquote covered. So yeah, if this is everything you want, and you have that longer trip, so that taking a couple hours each day out for a meal, you have plenty of time. It's not killing you, the total number of park hours you have and stuff like that. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but I think the key is you did the math, like you did the work, and that's always my advice is it isn't always the right answer to get the dining plan, and it is always right to not get the dining plan. You have to figure out like what you want to eat, where you want to eat, and if it makes sense for you. And in this case, it works out. So go for great.
Yeah, like again, it really comes down to I did this for a woman that I booked. I was her travel agent for a trip back in February. She stayed at the Grand Floridian for I want to say 6 nights, and she had some really amazing restaurants she wanted to go. She wanted to go to Citrico's, Narcoossee's, I forget what other place in Disney Springs, and I think another character meal or something else like that. And she's like, I'm going to go to Narcoossee's and Citrico's anyway. And of course, when you go there, you can get like the surf and turf and stuff like that, which is like $90, which pays for like the whole daily dining plan anyway. And she ended up saving about $400 for upgrading, that type of thing. So it's really important that you find a baseline and you go through and you actually kind of guess what you would order on each menu. Like that it took me maybe an hour and a half to kind of type everything out. Everybody we had fun. We sat around the table, we had a glass of wine. We're like, oh, this looks delicious. This looks cool. Kind of amps us up for the trip, right? And all this other type of stuff. Because our trip's in 90 days. And we had a good time with it. And it turns out that like, yeah, it's a hefty price tag, but we'll be paying it now. And then once we get down there, I don't have to think about paying for anything.
Tip,
but yeah, the tip I can just ignore at this point. It's just like, yep, just put it on the credit card. It's fine. I'm not paying $500 on my credit card that day and wincing and just ruining my night.
Just looking at your spreadsheet though, it is kind of like, ooh, like all these meals. It's like if you had to drop that day after day, just dropping $300 to $500.
Oh, it kills you.
Like, oh.
It's going to kill you. Granted, the list I posted in Discord, if you go into Discord and look at it, I posted 9 meals because I just let's pick our top 9, right? And work back from that. Ultimately, we're going to do, I think, 6 meals instead of 9 meals.
Okay.
So just no one freak out and yell at me how can you eat this much and blah, 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 blah.
And it sounds like a lot, but it is 6 people. Only one of them's a child, like, by Disney.
5 Disney adults.
Like, it adds up,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure. There are some options. This is what I really dove into because you're taking into account like specialty drinks for a lot of these things. Other than I think St. Angel Inn, everywhere else had like a fancy lemonade or like some kind of frozen drink that they can get or something else like that. That was like $8 or $10. And my kids are getting that. I don't care if you're not drinking it; it's going to be put in front of you, and because we paid for it,
because it's included. Yeah.
So I thought that's really cool.
That's actually a fun time to do that, right? When you have the dining plan, you can find out which things they like and which things they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it. So that's the Disney dining plan update. So if you ever have those type of things, if you want my spreadsheet, you can have it. So just ask me for it, but it's just it's tabulating things. But I would suggest, I mean, if you're that crazy where you're going to actually spreadsheet this thing, do it the right way and just kind of go shopping for a day for food.
And I also love that you polled everybody and got them to vote on things and stuff. I always love doing that with whether it's just like this or what are your 3 must-do things or something like that. I just like getting the family involved in the planning and stuff like that.
It was so hard, Phil, to do that over the course of the weeks because by the end, like my daughter will watch all sorts of Disney dining reviews. Like she'll watch somebody eat and choose things and stuff like that. And she might be on her phone on the couch, like texting, but she's engaged. My son absolutely hates watching people eat. He just wants to either watch roller coasters or go watch a baseball game or something else like that. My wife's good with it. My youngest she's 7. She just turned 7. So of course her mind wanders and she starts singing songs and dancing to the songs in her own head. And at a certain point, like I end up having to yell at my kids to be quiet because they just start having their own conversations. Like we're watching something. Like please listen or be quiet or go in the other room if you don't want. But anyway, it was chaotic through this whole adventure, but it was fun. It was a good learning experience for everybody. I think we had some good family Disney fun watching some random people on YouTube. We try to be consistent. I think I said before, Right Down Main Street was, even if you don't like her opinions on anything, her videos are very good because what I've learned, Phil, and I'm on a tangent in our minute 57 of our podcast. Is that a lot of dining videos, they spend a lot of time talking too much and like ramping up the restaurant, whatever. Like if you're out there and you want to do a dining review, this is what you do. You showcase the location, you get a good look of the inside because we want to see it, and then get right to the food. Like you don't have to show me the menu and just tell me what kind of food it is, and then show me what you ordered. And I can figure out the other stuff, but like, show me what you ordered. I don't want to watch you eat it for like 5 minutes. Like, you could, I guess, show me putting it in your mouth and chewing on it and getting your first reaction.
Just to prove that you did actually eat it.
There's some videos out there that are like 25 minutes long. Like, it should have been 10.
Yeah.
Like, just cut it there. So she does a very good job. And at least, even if I don't agree with some of her opinions for the reviews of places I have been before, she's very consistent in how she edited the videos and how she's done them. They're short and they're concise, so you get a general good idea. And I think everybody can kind of make up their own mind about the food, but like, you can have somebody's take about it. Obviously, none of them, like, you wouldn't go there if they're like, this place was disgusting, I hated it, right? Like, that's red flags. But it's like, I don't really like it this with it this. Like, well, somebody else's taste might be different. But anyway, if you're going to do this exercise, find somebody you do enjoy watching and find somebody that has done a lot of different restaurants, so at least their take is consistent throughout that, and you can kind of balance off that. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Okay, dining plan is over. If you're still listening, we have a DBC engagement question. Phil, do we want to save this for another week since we don't have another DBC? I have a couple in my brain that have been percolating. Do you want to save this for next week?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Save that for next week, since I know we're going to be recording a little early next week anyway, and then we didn't have one for this week anyway, so now we don't have to think of one on the fly.
I have a couple of dining related ones just from what we've done from planning, but I'll save that for next week.
Okay,
that's it. So did I forget anything? We want to think. Oh, I want to give a shout out because I want to give this week's podcast to Mama of Six. She always crushes the DVC engagement. She's like almost always the first one to respond. She's thoughtful. Yeah. If you're on Discord and you somehow missed it, she did an awesome trip report for her solo trip that she just got back from, like, I think 2 weeks ago,
about that. Yeah.
Like that. She took some wonderful pictures. And if you're not down in the Universal channel, Yulin is putting in some awesome pictures over the last couple of weeks of all the different things that she's seen inside the parks, all the food and everything else like that. So if you like seeing,
she has been trying to put spoiler tags around things, although there's so much out there now. It's like, there's no more miss it, but she was conscious about that. She asked us, like, do you want to see stuff? Should I spoil it? I was like, well, please put in spoilers at least for now. But like, yeah, there's so much stuff out there.
Yeah. I think it's you can't do it unless it's like at this point, unless it's like a ride spoiler.
Like a point of view or something. Yeah.
I think everything is fair game at this point. All right, Phil, anything that I might have forgotten to mention that you want to mention or remind me of?
Just a reminder of our social media accounts. We're everywhere at the DBC Pod, including YouTube and everywhere like that. And then our Discord server.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching, listening. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe or give some stars or whatever the platforms are asking you to do these days. If you're on YouTube, I apologize last week. My sound levels were off. I will attempt to make them better for everybody. But leave a comment below if you're this far ahead of the show of how my sounded. I would really appreciate the feedback. That being said, everybody, thank you for watching, listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Take care, everyone.